If you're an online music teacher and you need a different way to make 10K per month without working 40 hours per week, then this is going to be the training for you. So if you're new here, what's up? My name is Ben. Along with being a music teacher and a coach, I want to show you the exact six-figure studio roadmap that's been able to help my teachers make at least 10K per month with their music studios without burning themselves out in the process as well. I know there may be a lot of skeptics out there, but I'm not looking to convince you on anything here. I just want to be able to show you what's worked for me, what's worked for my music teachers, but to really expand your vision and belief of what is possible as a music teacher as well. So by the end of this video, I want to give you a simple invitation. If you want my help, if you want my community's help with helping you implement the training faster and easier, there'll be an invitation at the end, but if not, totally okay. I hope you get a lot of value out of the strategies and the new perspectives inside of this videos to help you reach your next income goal with your music studio. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. First off, we got to talk about who this is not for. So if this is you, then feel free to click off. I'll see you in another video, but this is not for beginners. So anyone struggling with pedagogy, tech, knowing how to even teach online, the best people who this is for are those that already have that down. If you're just starting teaching, if you're just starting your studio, then this may not be the right step for you just yet. But also this is not for teachers who want to stay in the traditional model. So I'll describe that a little bit more as well. But teachers who only just want to teach private lessons and aren't open to expanding in other ways. If you are someone that wants to scale to the moon with a bunch of teachers, this may not be the right step for you as well. If creating doesn't excite you, then this may not be the right video for you as well. This is going to involve a lot of creating and a lot of being a creative in this space. So if that's not you, again, feel free to click off. But if you don't have standards and boundaries on who you accept in your studio, this is going to be a really tough watch for you as well. If you are someone that just lets anyone with a paycheck, anyone with money come into your studio, then this is going to be a bit tough for you as well. So who this is for though, we're going to focus on 5 things in this video: profit, scale, simplicity, impact, time, and energy. So with profit, the goal is to increase the income coming into your studio. I want you seeing more money in the bank account so that you can feel less stressed about your personal finances. But profit is a big one because I've talked to a lot of music school teachers and their profit margins are very slim because they're paying their teachers and they're paying for expenses with the building. So focusing on profits is going to be important so that you can make sure that you're not bringing the stress of needing to make money into your marketing and into your studio. We'll also talk about scale. So we'll work on creating your own hybrid program that will allow you to continue working and growing the studio without increasing your teaching time while maintaining those high profits as well. So I want to make sure that you have room to grow your studio and yourself as a leader while not having to feel anxious about hitting your limit as well. We'll also focus on simplicity. So simplicity is in terms of our marketing, in terms of running the studio and growing the studio. I'll show you the only things that you need to do to acquire students and that allow you to repeat the same process over and over and over again. That way that you can focus on actually teaching and your personal time. So I'll give you recommendations as well on how you can automate, delegate the process to be able to save you more time as well. Impact. Impact is a big one. So who you work with determines how much fun your work actually is. So I want to make sure that you know how to attract long-term committed students, be able to increase and improve student results and overall student retention in the process so that you actually get to work with people that you love, students that energize you for years to come. And lastly, time and energy. So the goal here is to create more free space on your calendar, not fill it up so that you're feeling burnt out. I want you to be able to teach how you want, wherever you want, whatever you want, without adding any of more of that unnecessary work in your calendar. You know what I mean? So in this video, we're going to be able to optimize the hours that you were already working so that you're working smarter and not harder. Overall, I just want you to have a simple, personalized, more fun way to grow your studio, which is the way that teaching should be. So these are the exact same things that I've shown to, and I've taught to my clients. So for example, this is Julia. I actually have an interview with Julia on the YouTube channel. So feel free to check that out if you want to go more in depth with her story. But together we've been able to help her create a 6-figure violin studio without needing to work extra hours as well. Same thing goes with Alec as well. Alec was able to double his piano academy to over 14K per month. It was funny because before working with Alec, I think he exactly doubled his income, whatever his current income was, to 14K per month. He also was able to hire 3 teachers as well, but in a way that doesn't overwhelm his schedule. So those are just a couple of the clients that I've been able to work with. But I do want to share my story and how I got here, because this was not an easy road. And my hope is that you will find a lot of yourself in my short story. I'm still pretty young as of filming this. My journey really, I would say, starts from 2017 to now in 2024. But I want to show you my story and how I've grown as a person, as a leader, and as a teacher, to show you the path that you could go down as well. So let's start in 2017. 2017 is where I started like teaching music. So in this stage, started really growing in my self-belief and really just getting good at teaching. And the problem that I was running into was that, going into music school, I was like, how am I supposed to learn about teaching from a book, right? Like the best way to learn is but through experience. So I was the type of person that kind of dove headfirst into everything. And I just started like getting my first word of mouth piano students from that. And at the time too, I was also coaching marching band straight out of high school at my old high school as well. But that's what really kicked off my mission, which is to share the opportunity of music education with everyone in the world. And at that time too, I should probably mention that my vision for myself was to be a high school band director. So just imagine like younger Ben wanting to be a high school band director just because that's all I knew at that moment. Moving fast forward to 2022 now, 2022 is the new year of new opportunity. So that was the first time I ever felt capped with my piano studio. That's where the problem started happening, because I felt like I either had to get more students and continue to feel burnt out, or hire a teacher, get a physical location, or just settle for lower income. And this was hard because if you've ever been like a music major before, it's like nothing like being a college student. Like you have to not only go to classes, you have rehearsals, practicing for your juries, more rehearsals. But then for me, I had to run to my car, get in the car, travel to my piano students, and then travel back for night classes. So as you can imagine, I was just, at the end of the day, I was just feeling exhausted. And I had to go to bed being like, holy cow, we're going to do the same exact day tomorrow. So my solution at the time, though, this is again, my vision was not expanded as much as it is now. I didn't think that I could grow my piano studio anymore. I thought it was capped. So instead, I started coaching music teachers to be able to make more income, because what I knew at the time, I was like, okay, you can make way more money doing coaching. I thought it was more lucrative at that time, but it was a way to supplement my income at that time while also contributing to my mission as well. So what expanded for me was that I realized that coaching is a different way to contribute to my mission, and that's what really planted the seed there. Which moves on to 2021, the next year. So the problem here, this is the year of my graduation. Woohoo! I graduated my music ed degree, but the problem here was that the music education degree, it set me up to be a public school music teacher. And at that time, I had experience teaching the public schools while I was in college, as well as teaching privately. And even though I had a lot of accolades and I was president of the CMEA chapter there, at the end of the day, I chose entrepreneurship because that's where my heart was at. And I turned down like doing a 5th year and doing a teacher credential because like, even though that's what I was working so hard for, like I just felt, I didn't feel aligned with it. And this was a really, really hard path for me and a hard decision because I really felt like I was at a fork in the road. And at the end of the day, I felt really empowered being able to choose my own path. And at this time, I was teaching. So at this time, after graduating, I was teaching piano and coaching teachers at this time too. But my thought was that, okay, cool. Now I don't have rehearsals. I don't have all the school stuff I have to worry about. I can actually teach more and I can actually coach more. So at that time, like my capacity opened up and I started growing my piano studio. I started growing my coaching even more. Um, but the big way that my vision expanded was that after helping and coaching for a year, I learned and I experienced that like I could make a living teaching piano, right? Like teaching piano is a viable path to make a living because I've helped all these teachers be able to fill up their schedules and be able to do that for themselves. Why can't I do that for myself now that I have more time? So I started doing that. I started growing more and being able to, and it helped justify my reasoning for not doing a teaching credential because I was like, okay, I can be able to make a living teaching piano privately. I know that. I've helped teachers do that. So I'm going to do that for myself. Which fast forward to 2022 now, the problem is now figuring out where does my impact lie best. Because now during 2022, I felt even more burnt out as coaching started growing and it started hitting the same problems as I did back in 2020, where I was feeling capped again. My capacity grew, but then I filled it up. And now there was constraints in both parts of the business. And for me, I felt like my heart was really set on, okay, I want to go all in on coaching because that is where my impact lies best. But the problem that after looking back on it, the problem that I learned was that the image of my past identity really stopped me from transitioning quickly. So I had a year-long transition where I didn't take on any more piano students, and I just naturally let them go if they wanted to leave. But the reason why it took an entire year is I kept thinking to myself, like, who are you to coach music teachers if you're not even a piano teacher? So the imposter syndrome coming up, and I kept thinking, like, if I'm not a piano teacher anymore, like, are people going to respect me? Are people going to listen to me? But at the end of the day, like, obviously as we're filming this right now, I went all in on coaching, and that was the best decision that I made because I didn't let my past identity control my future anymore. And I feel like that's an important lesson because with a lot of teachers, there's lots of, and I've talked to a lot of teachers who have felt like they have outgrown their past identity. You know, the way that they were teaching before doesn't align with the season of life that they're in now. And a lot of us may feel like beginners. A lot of us may feel ashamed and almost feel like frauds for starting a new direction. But this was that another fork in the road for me where because I believed in myself and because I went all in on my ability to coach, and which still contributed to my mission and impact of sharing music education with the world, I decided to go all in with that. Which then from there moves on to 2023 because now that I'm going all in on coaching, I was making the money that I wanted. Why wasn't I happy? Right? And I call this part the creative or the balanced creative. So this is now the chapter in my life where I finally balanced my life between being a musician and focusing on music production and also coaching as well. Because the problem was like I was making the money, but my life just felt like such a boring routine. I just like I remember going to therapy and my therapist was like, so what do you do like other than work and watch Netflix? I'm like, nothing really else. And he told me like, hey, you should probably get a hobby. So at that time, I decided, I was like, hey, I haven't actually felt like a musician at all throughout like 2022, especially because that was the first year where I wasn't in music school anymore. So being able to focus on music production again, something that has been my dream since high school. I've always wanted to produce music because I've looked up to all these DJs and the artist I listened to made EDM. Actually being able to go all in now on music production helped me feel alignment, fully coaching and living my dream of being a music producer. And that really helped because not only was I able to serve better clients throughout this process of learning about myself as a musician, I was able to release 28 tracks. I accomplished my goal of getting my first paid DJ gig as well. But overall, I feel like the reason why 2023 was my most happiest year is because I felt more aligned, right? I was able to move out in 2023. I got the freedom to work remote. I have time to be a musician again. And my clients that I got on, they energized me instead of drained me. And what was important with this year was it finally felt like it clicked, where I was actually practicing what I was preaching. Because a lot of the clients that I wanted to work with, a lot of the teachers, they wanted to create six-figure studios, not just to get more time and freedom for their own personal life, but specifically the ones I enjoyed working with were the ones that want to use that freedom to be a musician again, to actually have time to practice, to actually have time to perform and dedicate time to why they even started teaching in the first place. So again, after doing it for myself and helping other music teachers, truly believe that you are more than capable of making 10K per month as a music teacher without working 40 hours per week so that you can actually feel like a musician again. So I kind of wanted to share this right here with you all. 2021 Ben versus 2023 Ben. What did that look like? How did that help? In terms of profits, right? I was spending more and earning more. I also thought that I had to hire teachers and create a complex music school back in 2021. I was also like at that time too, I was trying everything. I was just feeling so overwhelmed with trying to get more students and filling up my practice that like I was just looking everywhere and I was feeling really burnt out from that as well. But most importantly, I didn't feel like I had the impact or the energy to teach because I was feeling unaligned with the students that I have outgrown at that time. And, I even canceled lessons out of exhaustion. And that's something that it's really hard to admit. But there was times where I'm so tired. Like I can't teach today. So I would cancel lessons just because I was tired. But at the end of the day, I felt embarrassed because, I knew I could teach, but it just wasn't translating to income. And I would say that is contributed to living out of fear, living out of scarcity. Because when I started changing that, like in 2023, when I started living out of courage and creativity, that's when everything shifted. I was able to focus on just having a lean team. Um, I can scale by either raising my prices and creating scalable fulfillment models with myself and with my business. I felt really detached from the outcome. But more importantly, I had higher standards and boundaries for myself, which translated into higher rates, which is able to help my business grow even quicker. But at the end of the day too, I just had fun. I had so much more fun in business and in my own music when I was able to live a life where I was detached from the outcome, live a life where I was having fun, no matter if it is in the studio, in my coaching, or in my music production life, in my personal life. The key here was that I felt like I had to live a different life, whether it was in my coaching or my piano studio, when in reality, the way that you run your piano studio, the way that I treat my art and my music is the same way that I should treat my business. And that's where it really clicked. So the next thing we're going to jump into now is the six-figure studio roadmap. So what does that look like? First involves becoming an irresistible music teacher. Then we'll talk about the student acquisition system. And then we'll talk also about the hybrid model. And underneath each, I just listed a few skills that I feel like are the skills to learn in order to master each of these pillars. So I like to think of the systems not just as this machine, but us as the machine. As we're improving ourselves, we are improving the skill sets to grow the business. So with becoming an irresistible music teacher, we're really practicing our skill of vision, our belief, expanding that. We're practicing our skill of messaging as well, offer creation. When we're actually in the heat of the marketing system, that's when we're really working on our content creation, working on our copywriting, we're working on our sales. But especially with the hybrid model, as we start to expand to more scalable models of teaching, that's gonna there's a higher level need for pedagogy. There's a higher level need of leadership that we need to be able to build in order to start teaching in that way. So first thing I want to start off with is becoming an irresistible music teacher. So becoming an irresistible music teacher, it involves a few things here. So transformation of self, standards and boundaries, unique messaging, and irresistible offer. So the overall like problem that we're trying to solve here with becoming an irresistible music teacher is that I see a lot of teachers who are feeling burnt out from uncommitted students or like low quality leads. Like they don't know how to find those committed students. And especially for me, it was really hard for me to grow my piano studio in the beginning because I didn't feel aligned with it anymore, right? Because of the students that I was getting on who didn't practice as much, growing the studio and growing the business, it felt like an obligation instead of a new opportunity. Oh, I have to grow it in order to make make more money. So instead, what I've learned is that not only do we need the marketing skills, like the messaging skills and the offer creation skills, but at the core foundation of it, we have to become irresistible music teachers so that students are not only attracted to you, but they are attracted to your energy. They're attracted to your being, who you are, and your story. It's not only the skill of saying the right things in your marketing that's important, but also the energy to back it up as well. And more teachers I feel like need to emotionally connect with why they are teaching internally and externally. So the problem that I had was that I was, in the beginning, I was connected internally with why I wanted to teach. I felt a lot of conviction there, but I didn't know how to explain it. I didn't know how to get it across to people who weren't on that same page as me yet. But with the internal versus external, what I found helps a lot was that I built so much conviction internally that it just couldn't help but escape, right? Like I especially last year in 2023, the reason why it was so easy for me to connect with people on my music production side as well was because I built so much conviction in my own skills in music production and shown myself what I could accomplish there, that it just became a part of who I am. And I feel like a lot of teachers are disconnected with why they've taught and why they even started teaching, that it becomes really hard to market because they're not emotionally attached to it anymore. So we have to find that. We have to find that back again. And that's through the transformation of self. Because while every other teacher is looking for the next best strategy, they're looking for the next best hack, there is no hack at the end of the day. At the end of the day, there is no secret. But the reason why, the reason why it's not working, looking for the next best strategy, is really because at the core of it, they're living out of alignment. So the solution here is, first, we need to align ourselves. Like, align yourself, and the answers that you have will naturally come to you. A lot of teachers are always asking me, like, Ben, what do I have to say in order to get people to buy? What do I have to say in order to get my students to practice more, right? The moment you start asking that questions, the moment we're looking in the wrong direction. What we need to do first is we need to align ourselves with the right students, align ourselves with the right business model. And by being able to have the heart and have the energy to put in the work, that's what's going to allow you to do the necessary actions in order to get to 10K a month. Because 10K a month is not something where you can just snap your fingers and all of a sudden this money starts coming to you. It's something where we have to actually put in the work necessary to make that income as well. For me, it came with really understanding that I treat my business the same way that I treat my art. The same values, the same beliefs, the same principles need to align whether I am working on my music or working on my business. So from that really came a stronger sense of standards and boundaries, because the problem was that, the easiest like the easiest way to earn more money is to raise your rates in your studio. And the struggle though really comes in, taking everyone in and not enforcing those high prices, right? When we're thinking about where our prices need to be, I feel like your prices is a reflection of, your standards and your boundaries. So the solution here is putting yourself first, right? And what we need to do is we need to clarify who you let into your high touch offers, right? Clarify who is actually best fit to be in your close proximity one-on-one lessons and who is not a fit for that. And understanding this allows you to have more control, more flexibility over your schedule. The reason why I quit piano teaching was because my standards and boundaries really outgrew the current client base that I already had. And at that time, I didn't know how to attract a higher caliber client base. So at that time, I just enjoyed coaching more than teaching. But through that experience, I learned that, there is a way to attract higher caliber clients for the music side as well. So the question that we have to ask ourselves is, who do I let in my world? And who have I outgrown in this season of your life as well? Because, the problem with a lot of teachers is that they can outgrow their current client base. They're looking for now a higher caliber client and a higher caliber student, but that's not being reflected in their marketing, right? They're still putting out ads out there who are attracting everyone of all ages. When teachers, especially though when teachers are looking to niche down, they feel really frustrated because the students that they're getting in isn't aligned with who they want to attract. So the solution here is now building up our skill of messaging. And when I say messaging, I refer to knowing what words to use that are going to emotionally connect with my audience. It's kind of like teaching a new student, right? We can't just be throwing out all this like music theory terms to a new student. We have to connect with them to where they are at the moment. It's exactly the way that we teach. So the same thing with our marketing. We want to not only find a niche, like a niche that people will pay more for, but we need to make sure we solve an urgent problem. It's kind of like the comparison between like a beginner and a professional and an aspiring professional musician. An aspiring professional musician is naturally going to want to invest more in their music education because they have had these problems that they are experiencing. They have a more urgent need that they want. But how you stand out from the crowd with your messaging and your content is asking yourselves the question, how can I make my content more like a dog whistle, where my ideal students listen in and everyone else ignores? And that's the key here, making content that attracts the right students, but also repels the wrong students by being polarizing, by sharing our values, by sharing our beliefs. Because once you're able to get a student, talking to a student, and now you're pitching your offer, we need to make sure that we actually have an irresistible offer. Because while most people are, music lessons is a big part of our world, most people aren't looking for music lessons. At the core of it, the reason why they're looking for music lessons in the first place is to have a better version of their life. So while everyone, back when I was like growing my piano studio, everyone that I saw was like promoting in my neighborhood group. They were like promoting, like putting their ads out there. But I feel like my post really stood out because I spoke to the parents' problems during the uncertainty of COVID. So I asked myself, like, how can I position my studio as a solution to the biggest problems that my students face, not just musically, but in life? And that's how you become an irresistible music teacher, is when you're able to, like, when the people see you as not just necessary in their, like, not just see you as a extracurricular activity, but actually necessary in your life, in their lives as well. So here's an example of my post. This post got me like 10 students. You could copy it if you wanted to, but I want you to just understand like why this works, especially during COVID. Right, I really wanted to speak to what were the parents' needs, what were the parents' problems, and that was the key that really helped me be able to have this post convert and help me grow my studio really quickly. So here, action item. I want you to ask yourself now, what are the habits, standards, and boundaries that I need to uphold to become the person that I need to become the teacher that is able to support a six-figure studio level as well. I wanted to share a quick story. One of my clients, Emily, she's awesome. She's not only the type of teacher that is relentless as well, but she was able to follow our student acquisition system, follow our roadmap, and she earned 10K a month in just a single month, and she's still doing that to this day as well. But the key here was not just what she did with her marketing, but who she became. And a big part of her transformation in 2023 was being able to reset in her music school, to be able to change the culture of her music school so that she is able to retain better students, be able to attract better fit students as well. And that first came in with the transformation of herself. So not only is she earning the income that she wants, but she loves the way that she's running her music school as well. So let's go ahead and move on to the student acquisition system here. So I just want to make a note that I have an entire crash course for this. So I won't go too in depth on the exact step-by-steps, but I want to give you the high level overview of what it involves, how you can be able to implement it in for yourself today. And I'll also show you exactly what I am using right now as of filming this video as well. So this one is important though, because if you find that you don't know where your potential students are on Facebook, or most of your engagement comes from families, friends, and other teachers, then the problem is that you either don't have an audience at all, you're not posting in the right place where your ideal student is located, or you don't have the right quality of prospects added into your audience as well. The traditional way that I've always grown up to believe is that you can just be a good teacher and the students will come to you. But what I feel like that makes us do is I feel like that makes us have a reactive I feel like we're being reactive instead of proactive with our mission. And that's what the student acquisition really helps you do, is it really helps you be proactive with your mission, be proactive with your vision on the world. So the solution here though is to have a simple process for consistently growing your audience without needing a gigantic follower count as well. You don't need to be a huge YouTuber in order to grow your studio, but also be able to find your prospects in the right place and get into daily rhythms of taking small actions. So this is what it looks like so far. There's 3 systems to the student acquisition system that we want to talk about. One is generating community, nurturing your community, and also converting your community as well. I just want to make it really clear here. The strategy is not about whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or email lists or whatever. It's really about the core of it. It's about building a community on any platform. I personally like Facebook because you have the most control over the process on this platform as well. And again, I'll talk about exactly what I use, but generating your community, that can come in the form of many different things. If you're on Facebook, it's pretty simple, especially do organically, like sending friend requests daily. It's finding like ideal student Facebook groups and adding those members as friends as well and connecting with them. If you're on Instagram, generating your community is growing your Instagram following. It could be email list subscribers, YouTube subscribers. It's how are we growing our audience is the main thing. And that is the most important thing, because if we're not growing our audience, how we expect to be able to find new people as well. So generating our community is super important. If you're looking for an organic way to grow, I find that Facebook is the easiest platform because it allows more control. You can actually choose who you want to send Facebook friend requests to. You can find those groups organically and it doesn't cost any money. If you're looking for a faster way, like a paid strategy, there's actually a great Instagram strategy that works better for paid. You can run paid ads to grow your following on Instagram as well, and be able to post on your Instagram and be able to do all the nurturing and converting there as well. Because when we move on to nurturing our community, that comes in the form of now content creation. And again, this goes back to, if you don't like creating, this is probably not the strategy for you. Because for me, I feel like I am a creator. I love creating. I love creating my own music, but I love creating my own content, especially like this video right now. And the main thing with like content creation, that it can come in the form of many different things. It could be text posts on Facebook. It can be pictures on Instagram. It could be videos right here. It could be an audio, like a podcast. For me, I'm really thinking, okay, how many times am I going to post this week? And the main goal with this is having your audience trust you. That's the thing. It's just gaining trust with your audience so that they get to know you on a personal and a professional level. And the last part here, the system is converting your community. So now we have to take them off of social media and into a more intimate environment, whether that be like building connections through the DMs. It could be booking calls, booking trial lessons as well, getting them off the platform and into like that one-on-one setting with you. It could also be just sending out checkout links. If that's how you like to make your sales, just sending out the sales page and sending that out, then that's awesome as well. But the thing here, if you see in my chart, like the middle part here, I'm really thinking about systems, and I'm really thinking about what is it that I can control. And once you focus on that, it really becomes easy to eliminate the noise and focus on those revenue generating activities. So for me on Facebook, what this looks like, what do I actually use? This may change as I grow my business, but for the time being, this is what I do. So in terms of generating community, what I do is I've joined 3 to 5 ideal client Facebook groups, and I send 30 to 50 friend requests daily. And that's it, right? And how I think about this is a little different than some other music teachers. I've heard some music teachers feel really hesitant to send friend requests. And for whatever reason that is, I've gotten past that as well. I see friend requests as a way to extend my hand. And if someone doesn't want to be friends with me, totally cool. If they want to be friends with me, awesome. Welcome to my world. But I'm consistently sending friend requests so that I'm consistently, connecting with new people every single day. The next part here is nurturing my community. So this is my content strategy right now. And the content strategy is actually the easiest part, because it really just comes down to what can you sustain right now. It could be anything, right? Like I used to post every day on my Facebook, and I used to do live streams in my Facebook group. I don't do that anymore. Why? Because I can't sustain that right now in my life. But what can I sustain? I could do 1 to 2 YouTube videos every single week. If you follow me on Facebook, I do 3 to 5 Facebook posts every single week as well. But also in my email list, I email my email list 6 to 7 times per week. And I like to give myself ranges on what it is for those, so that I actually have flexibility, so that if I don't hit 5 Facebook posts a week, I'm not feeling discouraged. I have something to work in with. And then converting my community as well. There's 3 reasons why I reach out to people. One is I connect with new friends. Any new Facebook friends I get, send them a nice message. Say hi, say what's up. The important thing here is that I'm not pitching to those people. I'm not straight up cold DMing people, pitching them, telling them to buy my stuff, because it doesn't make sense to you. It feels icky to do that. I'd rather just start off a human interaction. And that's what I feel you should do as well. Also, anyone that engages with my content as well, I always reach out to them, thank them for supporting my content, ask them questions to see what resources I can send them as well that can help them. But also anyone that's needing more support, that is like directly asking me, I'll book calls with those people as well. And I just keep these systems consistent, right? Because what's important here is that although we have money goals, it's important to stay detached from the outcome. I cannot control who accepts my friend request. I cannot control who looks at my content. I can't control who wants to buy or not. but what I can control is my inputs and what I put out there into the world. So my saying is something. This is a phrase I get from my coach as well. But consistency over intensity, right? If you're feeling really busy this week and you feel like you can't hit your consistent goals, then feel free to lower that a little bit for the time being. Bring it back up when you have that energy again. But this is the exact system that I use currently, right now, to be able to grow my coaching business as well. And what I suggest to a lot of my teachers who are growing their studios as well. So the main action item here I want you to answer for yourself is what's going to be my daily standard for each of the systems, right? For generating your community, if you're on Facebook, how many friend requests are you going to send daily? How often are you going to post? How many people are you going to reach out to daily as well in your audience? So give yourself daily standards, and that will help you keep things consistent. So this is the same exact thing that one of our clients, Simber, was able to do as well. She was actually able to get her first 10K a month with her online harp improv course, which allowed her to have the freedom to travel, to perform, teach on her own terms. I have an interview with Simber as well, full interview with her breaking down everything exactly how she did it. But for her, she used her own Facebook community to be able to get a lot of the sales for her improv course as well. She also does workshops for other teachers. So if you're wondering, like, hey, does this work for other teachers? Here's the proof. Here's the living proof. Which moves on to the hybrid model here, and this is the thing that a lot of teachers come to me for, because they're facing the same exact problem that I did in college, which is that traditional private lesson model, if you want to make six figures. So the problem that I've seen with the traditional model is that they're trading time for money, so that the more students that they get, the worse your life feels as well. And it's really difficult, like for a lot of those teachers to expand past their community if they're not online as well. So at the end of the day, the problem that I was going through was that I was spending so much of my time and energy teaching the same concepts over and over and over again. And when I was thinking about the different paths on how can I expand, I was either going to feel burnt out teaching more students or feel burnt out having to manage other teachers and other people rather than students too. So I was still trading my time and money. So that's where I really came up with the hybrid model as I was teaching more teachers. The solution here is to have a high value, scalable product and a scalable program that provides high results for our students, so that when we have the hybrid model, the more students we get, the better our lives get in the process. So what is the hybrid model exactly? Again, I have a whole training going more in depth on this if you want like a worksheet and stuff that goes along with it too. But it's a combination. It's a combination of ways that we can coach, ways that we can provide content, but ways that we can provide a community for our students as well. And I like to think of it too, like at first when a lot of teachers hear this, they get kind of overwhelmed because they're like, oh my God, do I have to like start creating my own course? Or man, like I've never like had my students interact with each other. What if it's all awkward? What if they don't gel together, right? So I want to introduce you to this concept that I've learned from my coach, the 100 units of energy. And I really like this too, because it really answers the question of like, how do I start adding my own hybrid model without breaking everything, right? I'll give you examples on what different hybrid models look like. But the key here is that the hybrid model is not your hybrid model is not what I say the hybrid model should be. For me, the hybrid model is a flexible model that is able to support the lifestyle that you want to live. And that's really important too, is that the problem that I was facing before is that I was trying to fit in a model that didn't work for who I am as a person. So as you are learning this right now, I don't want you to feel like, oh, I have to do my hybrid model this way, or I have to do my hybrid model that way, because then we're just contributing to the same problem that we were facing before. So as you are thinking about the hybrid model, listen to the different examples on what teachers have done and try things out. Be a scientist, experiment with different things as well. But I like to think of this as like the 100 units of energy, because then it becomes a little bit more tangible in how we are breaking up our studio. So we can put those 100 units. The problem is that like I see a lot of teachers putting the 100 units of energy all inside of coaching. And that's great, but then that's the same problem that we're going through, right? We start trading our time for money. But if we start to sprinkle in more into, maybe you can create a course, making you can add in a little bit of community, then that's what's really going to help out. So first example I wanted to give, I had a piano teacher. His name is Michael, and he used to offer one-on-one lessons every single week. But now, but when we were working together, he moved into a model where he was doing one-on-one lessons once every single month, and he had 2 weekly group coaching calls. And of course, that's something that he changed overall, but that's an example of what you can do as well. You can start to reduce your amount of one-on-one time and maybe start to add in more group coaching time as well. Especially for the course part, I had a client, Avery. He offered his video course, his music production like course. It was like a video course that people could go through, and it was self-guided, but he used that as the main curriculum for his music production program as well. So that what he had his students do is that he had his students go through the course. They learned in the course. So that he didn't have to teach the same thing over and over again. And that way he could spend less one-on-one time with them, but have the one-on-one time be more effective, because instead of teaching the same thing over and over and over again inside of his one-on-one lessons, he was able to coach them. He was actually be able to give them feedback on things and focus on things that, he couldn't have time for if he was just teaching the same thing over and over again, which in the end of the day gave his students, allowed his students to get better results, because they were able to better allocate their teaching and their coaching time. And then the community aspect as well. So easiest way to do that is by adding in like an online community into your studio. So when we're thinking about community here, I have a teacher, Victoria. She's a vocal teacher. She was able to add in a community for her Pro Plus singers. So for her high ticket students, she added in like a Facebook group, and inside of that, they could post their songs of the month videos. They could support each other. So for you, think about how can I start to get students to just know that they both exist, right? Like when I was teaching, when I was learning piano growing up, I felt really lonely, because the only time I got to see the other students was at the recital, which is like twice a year, right? And for many of you, some of your students may not even know the other student exists in your studio. So how do we create a program that is scalable, that allows students to be able to help each other out, so that you're not the only one teaching and coaching at the same time? We'll have your student community there. That's going to be able to, give them more motivation and more of a reason to be able to see that they're not alone in this process. So those are just a few examples. I have a lot of videos of the different clients I've worked with who has their own hybrid model. But the main thing about this is thinking about what is a model that's going to support me and the lifestyle that I want to live. So thinking about that, now I like to think of these in archetypes as well. And these archetypes are not like set in stone or anything like that. So the way that I've like kind of described each one here is just my opinion. So I don't want you to feel like you fit in a box, but I hope this is able to help you identify more of yourself and who you are, and the direction that you should try out as well as you're thinking about your hybrid model. So the goal here, again, it's really to understand who you are and creating a model that fits you. So rather than trying to fit yourself in another model, find a model that works for you, so that you're not just trying to do what every other music school is doing as well. So the first thing that the first archetype that I listed out here is the teacher. So the teacher, I find, enjoys teaching lessons personally, right? If you like to teach if you like to teach the concepts yourself, and you can enjoy a full lesson of schedules, or like a full full schedule of lessons, then this is probably who you are at the end of the day. If you like teaching your one-on-one lessons, if you don't see yourself doing anything else, that's totally cool. But what I will say is that in order for you to grow, it really just comes down to raising your one-on-one prices at the end of the day. If you're not wanting to create like a group coaching part of your offer, or a course part of your offer, or community part, and you really just like teaching one-on-one, then you need to be able to raise your one-on-one prices. And I also wrote here, student quality is going to be a priority for you as well, so that you don't burn yourself out in the process. So what does that involve? If you find yourself as a teacher, it's probably going to be really easy to fill up your schedule, because one-on-one lessons are really easy to fill up. But what you need to have higher standards, higher boundaries for yourself, so that you are charging the prices that you feel that you deserve, and also making sure that you get students who don't overstep those boundaries as well. So going on to the coach one, this is where I feel like I like fall under as well. So this is all about mentorship. It's all about feedback. If you like that sort of coaching style, if you like giving feedback more than teaching the same lessons over and over again, this may be for you. So in this model, if you're a coach, you may find yourself having more success teaching less one-on-ones and more in a group setting, right? You can still have both again, but it doesn't need to be like the traditional 1 hour lesson every single week. But in order to be in this coach and have a hybrid model that supports yourself as a coach, there will need to be a level of systemizing your curriculum. So whether that be creating like a short mini course for your students, or it's actually systemizing your group coaching so that you know what you're going to teach in each group class, that's also really important for the success of this. Coaching as well, it involves an even higher caliber student. So this is probably someone who's going to work best with students who are already independent, right? Who already know how to learn for themselves. That's going to be really important for this coach model, which moves on to our creator model as well, the creator archetype, which is again something that I feel like I fall under as well. This person, the way that I've learned about it is that this person enjoys blank space on that calendar. This person likes creating those lesson videos. Like for me, I love creating these videos because it's kind of like a reflection of who I am at the moment. It's kind of like a timepiece. I love to treat my content as like timepieces where I can look back and see how I'm thinking at that moment. But this will require a standalone course. If you are a creator, you're probably wanting to create that standalone course anyway. And this hybrid model that you create is probably going to be a lot more hands off as well, so that you can have less lessons overall. This may be something where you have a course, standalone course, but maybe you do a weekly group coaching call as well, so that you have that coaching time, but you're not having one-on-one time that's added on top of that. So if you feel like you are a creator, then make sure that you are structuring your hybrid model in a way where you can have more blank space on your calendar. You can have that time to be creative and sink into the creative process. Because the last part here is manager. And I feel like this is something that I personally am not, but the manager is simply like what it says it is. It's someone who likes to manage other people, someone who likes to be more of like the overseer. So if you find yourself overseeing more of a group, like a team, if you see yourself overseeing all of your students rather than actually being in there doing the work with them, then this may be a better fit for you as well. So this person is if you're a manager, then you may find more success having a schedule filled with team meetings instead, right? But this requires, at least in my experience with being able to having experience like getting on team members and creating a team for myself, this requires a lot of letting go of control. So if you're not ready for that yet, then this may not be the archetype for you. But this also requires a new level of leadership and influence. When you start to let go of control, you need to have more influence and more leadership to lead your team, to lead your students. So in terms of a hybrid model, what this may look like is like you might have, you may thrive having a big community model where students are able to help each other out, where you're able to lead a larger group of people. This may be if you find yourself in the manager spot, having a big music school may actually be the path for you, right? It may be the path where you want to manage teachers. You want to teach maybe like a small group of students, but spend most of your time working with other teachers. Spend most of your time like being able to oversee large body of students, right? So the important thing with here again is understanding who you are, so that the model that you create actually fits to who you like, your natural being. So the action item that I want you to ask yourself here is, what archetype am I? And how can I start systemizing my studio today? Like whether that be onboarding, like you're systemizing your onboarding process, or that could be systemizing the way that you teach with your curriculum, like that, like however you can save time for yourself so that you can focus more on the things that your best energy lies. That's the most important part of this question. So I want to share some examples here. I love this story with Tristan. I have an interview with him posted as well, but Tristan owns one of the largest piano academies in Montreal in Canada. So he's doing really well. He's got a lot of teachers already. He's getting in students consistently. But the problem was that with Tristan, when he came to me, he was not only teaching 30, 40 hours a week, but he couldn't even practice piano anymore. And this was coming off of like a huge piano recital that he put on for himself. So it requires him, to put on another recital, it requires him even more time to practice these concertos. Because those aren't easy, right? But the beautiful thing with Tristan's story is that when he started his, he not only filled up his max capacity for his adult beginner group program, he created his own hybrid model where he had a group program with adult piano students that combined one-on-one community course coaching, and that's what allowed him to not only hit his income goals, but be able to make so much more time for himself to practice. Like he says right here, I can already feel the fatigue, like teaching fatigue of working too many hours begin to lift, right? And that's the key here of that's the vision I had for music teachers right there, is that you can be able to make a secure income, but actually be a musician still. And that's what I've learned from my own story. It's especially 2023, being a balanced creative. I showed myself that I could be able to make the money that I wanted to, while also fulfilling myself as a musician by actually feeling aligned in the process as well. So I hope you have gotten a lot of value out of this training. And again, here are the next steps on what you can do next. One is I want you implementing this training. If you are new here, I highly recommend diving into the free Six-Figure Studio Roadmap course. It'll be in the description. It has 15 plus modules detailing our Six-Figure Studio strategy as well. It goes a lot more in depth on the exact strategies that we teach here. But also I've added in the very first week of my client curriculum as well. So if you want a sneak peek on what my client curriculum looks like, how to create your Six-Figure Studio offer, I give you the exact thing, copy and paste into this free course as well. I highly recommend downloading that if you are new to my world. I will also have the link to download these slides as well in the description, so you'll also get access to them completely free. But other than that, though, if you know me for a long time, if you've been following me and we haven't talked though, I'd love to connect with you. So I will link over my Facebook down below. If you want to connect with me, feel free to DM me. I'll send you a bunch of new resources as well to make sure you're getting taken care of. But the most important part here is that if you are ready, if you feel like it is time to move to that next income goal faster and easier, and you want support and you want to make it more fun doing that as well, if you're looking to create a six-figure studio, I highly recommend feel free to book a call. The call booking calendar will be in the description as well. I'll be able to help create a game plan for you to make sure that you know what the next steps are to creating your next milestone. And in the process, we'll see if or how I can even help in the process as well. If not, no worries. Again, there's no pressure. I just want to make sure you have a solid game plan in place first. Other than that, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Feel free to follow for more of my journey here, and I will see you in the next video.